Good morning, beautiful souls. You'll have to excuse me. I've had my arse kicked from the eclipse, the moon, and 11:11 today. And I wasn't going to come on. I wasn't prepared. I've got no makeup on. I'm naked. Um, but Spirit insisted to talk about this. And if I don't do it when they come through, I lose the threads. I lose I lose it. I lose it. I lose it anyway most of the time. So I'm coming on to talk about the inner child. There's a lot out there about the inner child and working with the inner child, and it's mostly like shadow work. It's mostly about, going and retrieving bits. I've got a different stand, so I think that's all right. See, I lose thread straight away. Yeah, it's mostly about going in and finding bits of your inner child that's been lost, or, healing the parts that have been damaged. But most people forget to talk about the really important aspect of play, connecting in with the inner child for play, sacred play and playing. So what you need to do is you need to look at your childhood, and instead of when you're doing inner child work, you're looking at things that you were bullied at school and things like that, and you got told off by your grandma and it really hurt you, things like that. It's not about that. It's about the positive. It's about remembering those things in childhood that brought you absolute joy. So we're connecting in with the Wunyo rune for this, because the Wunyo rune is that celebration rune. It's that get it out there and celebrate. So what you want to look at is the celebrating moments of childhood, those magical moments, those moments that just brought you absolute joy and peace and fun. And so you want to look for the things in there. And the reason that we do this work is because you want to bring those things in to your adult work, to your adult life. Now, when you sort of, I don't know, you might speak to someone and you may say that you're doing something, and they might say to you, "Oh, it's really childish." It's such a rubbish thing to say, and it puts people off doing things. If as a child you really, really enjoyed skipping, you just loved it, you loved skipping, and it brought you joy, it gave you exercise, obviously, and you absolutely loved it. But in your mind and from the people around you, you think, well, that's a childish thing to do, other than boxers do it, which, they're not childish, are they? So, you want to go back and start to bring in those layers of things that gave you joy and peace. One of my absolutes was colouring. Oh my God, as a child, I didn't know I was meditating. I hadn't a clue I was meditating. I found the most peace, and the creative process I absolutely loved, obviously. Um, the finished results wasn't so much what I loved. I loved the colours. I loved working with different colours. I loved combining colours, and things like that. But I think for me it was this peaceful, I could just go off into this peaceful place. And as an adult, I really wanted to colour. Oh my God. I just thought, well, I can't colour. That's what children do. That's not, And then we've had this explosion. Adult colouring books, adult colouring. It's now such a massive thing. There's communities doing it, and people know it's so good for their mental health. Now, I spent, my childhood colouring, and then as I got older, I sort of stopped because it's childish. And I, had all this time in between that I could have been colouring, that would have really, really helped me in my adult life. That would have helped me spiritually. It would have helped me on so many levels, but because it was seen as that's a thing that children do. When you get to an adult, you don't do things like that because that's childish. Um, Obviously now I can colour away, and I could have coloured away anyway, but I chose to get stuck in that thing of like, well, that's childish. And I remember my mum starting colouring a good few years ago now, and she had the shame type thing of like, well, it's what children do. I can't do it. It's childish. And when I sort of heard her saying it, it really struck me. My God, what do we do to ourselves? We stop joy, and we stop things because we're just so scared that it's seen as childish. And what does it matter? But yeah, so playing with the inner child is so much fun. And you can really connect in with the inner child, and you can get them to take you back to remembering things. And like, I remember Christmas presents. I remember certain Christmas presents that mum and dad, and I don't even know where they got them from because there was no Hobbycraft back then. But they bought me these sets of making things, like craft stuff. There was one which was like it was like a plaster thing, like porcelain cameo jewelry thing or something. So you mixed up the plaster and you poured it into the molds, and you made these oh my God, I just absolutely loved it. And well, there was another. Oh, the other one was like a resin thing, which, like, again, now we got people making lots of different sort of yeah, it was like a resin thing. And they were two of my absolute most favorite Christmas presents ever, because they were creative. And my first thing with coloring was, I was about 4, I think, and it was my birthday, and mum and dad bought me this amazing set of pencils, and it was a big set, and they were really expensive, and they were they were you could put water with them and stuff. And I mean, I was only 4, so obviously I didn't know there was such pencils out there that you could do that with. And they got me these colouring books, and one side was coloured in, and I remember distinctly because it was like Australian landscape, and this amazing orange and pink and blue sky. And so, and you obviously copied the other side. Oh, do you know what? I the memory of it, the feeling of it, the excitement, the joy of it. So why wouldn't I want that in my adult life? Why wouldn't I want that? And I do. I'm sorry, I don't care. I add my color, because I've got a lot of colouring books. I've got loads of pencils, and I add them to my artwork, to my art journals. So I might colour in, because you can colour in like a flower or something, cut it out, fussy cut it out, stick it in a journal. You don't have to just colour and leave them in the colouring books, which you obviously can do. And nowadays, I mean, the colouring books out there are fantastic. And there's so many YouTube channels of like really colouring, you know, as a child you just do it, don't you? Which is absolutely fine. You know, you might even do green sky or something, which you can do as an adult. But quite often when you sort of get, you have a different level when you're an adult. So you quite often want to really learn how to do it really well, you know, do the skin and learn how to shade and stuff like that, which you can do, which gives it other levels. So, you know, you still got the joy in that, unless that takes the joy away. And if that takes the joy away, then do green sky and do whatever you want. But yeah, go back in. And one of the other things for me is my favourite day out ever was going to the woods. That was it. It was so simple. I didn't need like money spent on me or anything like that. Going to the woods, being in the woods. That is my most massive part of my spiritual practice. Woodland, being in the woods, is still there. It's from childhood. Funnily enough, that was okay because that's not childish. Going to the woods. I mean, I go out and hug trees and speak to mushrooms and fungi and, you know, leaves and stuff. So that might be seen as childish, but I love it. But that was fine. I've never had a problem with that. I think that's because that part connects so well with my witchcraft practice. So it was seen as okay to myself because it was an adult thing. It was witchcraft. It was adult to me. But yeah, I just I don't know why Spirit wanted me to talk about this. So hopefully someone watching this is going to have a big aha moment, or it's gonna help them feel better about things they want to do and they're worried about it. I don't know, but Spirit really insisted. I was like, oh, for goodness sake, I don't want to put makeup on to go and do a YouTube. And I'm like, well, you don't need to put makeup on to do a YouTube. I was like, oh God, but I look dreadful. I feel so tired. I feel like I've done like, you know, 50 rounds with Muhammad Ali. I just feel battered. And funnily enough, because I felt so battered, I've picked up one of my colouring books. Maybe that's the link there, but yeah, I needed something gentle. I didn't just want to sit there, but I needed something very gentle and that would take me into the meditative place. You know, and it doesn't matter what it is, you know, whatever you loved as a child. I mean, I still, if I go to the beach, you know, I'll pick up shells. I'll be looking for shells. I'll be looking for special stones, you know, hag stones, all, you know, I couldn't go to the beach and be like a so-called adult and lay and sunbathe. I burn anyway, so it's a big no-no for me. But I'd find boring. I like looking. I like, you know, looking in rock pools and all of that wonder and that stuff that we have as a child is still there for that as well. You know, and I don't know. I don't know why they wanted me to make this video, but I'm making it. I think it is really interesting that often in a lot of deep spiritual work, shadow work, we feel like we're doing some really, you know, deep work, which we are, but we forget that there's a more lighter side that is just as deep. You know, going back into your childhood and picking out the bits that you loved, the bits that, you know, brought you so much joy, whether it was, you know, making a cake with your mum or your grandma, or, you know, things like that, that maybe life has taken away because we're so busy and this, and you've forgotten that you loved baking cakes, you know. Start again. Or, you know, your grandma taught you to knit, and, you know, I my grandma did teach me to knit, but I don't really knit. But I took up crochet a couple of years ago because I really wanted to learn that, and I just couldn't bloody grasp it for years. Um, but I learn, and that I find that meditative as well. I find that really, although it's not knitting, it sort of does connect me in with sitting with my grandma, and, you know, her teaching me to knit and how much I loved it. Um, yeah, just, I think the whole thing is go in and do a list, you know, do a list of what things brought you such joy, you know, did you dance more? And then again, it's like I said, you know, in the last video about spiritual snobbery, you know, some people still like clubbing. I mean, God, I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, you know, you know, music wise, I don't really like the music of you know, I've got a huge music range. You know, from Metallica to bloody, oh wow, I can't even think. But I used to quite enjoy clubbing. I used to like dancing. I think dancing and that sort of became more difficult with the fibro and stuff, and I can't say I enjoy it because the pain, and so I that for me is a no go sort of area. But, you know, if you loved it, even if you don't, you know, want to go into a nightclub, or, you know, somewhere, you know, you can put music on at home and dance. It doesn't get, well, it's a bit childish, you know, well, I'm here on my own. And but if you love it and you can get lost in the music and lost in the dance, you know, then do it. And you can do it more spiritually. You could do like chakra dancing, you know, connecting with your chakras. You can dance the runes. You could dance the energies of earth, air, fire, water. You can make it more ritualistic, more, you know, if that makes you sort of feel better, you know. But anything you did that you liked, you know, if it was paint snakes and ladders and, you know, stuff like that, games, you know, I mean, obviously a lot of people download games on their phones and stuff, and that isn't seen as childish, is it? That's quite interesting, actually. There's certain things, isn't there, that aren't. And then, so, you know, if you wanted to get out and play with dolls, I mean, that would just be seen quite, you know, but but even if it, but think of what that was, you know. So go deeper into it is what I'm trying to say. So what was the act of playing with dolls? What was involved in that? What was the thing that you enjoyed? And then, you know, it might mean that, you know, you liked playing with dolls because you made little dresses. Well, you could do that. You know, you could make dresses for a neighbour's daughter's dolls, or you know, there's ways that you can look into it. And you can adult it. You can bring it through and adult it. um you know, there's so many things, you know. If we can't paint, but you liked painting as a child, you know, you could do painting by numbers, and there's some amazing kits, you know, more adult, not child. Well, you can do child ones, but, you know, there's adult ones. There's all sorts of things. I mean, I know I'm picking craft things, but that's more me, that's more my sort of field. But whatever it was, you know. So yeah, that's it. So powerful day, 11/11 2022. You know, maybe that's why they wanted the video. You know, connecting with the creative part of you, the missing parts of joy that you need to connect in with and bring through. You know, just go in there and have a look, see what you can find. So yeah, so this video is brought to you from the Wunyo Room, and Spirit and Sue's Crystal Wolf from Crowfire Talk, and yeah, I think that's all from me today. And thumbs up if you like the video, comment if you've got anything to discuss about it or what you think about it. That'd be great. And yeah, just enjoy your weekend that's coming up. And go in and speak to your inner child. Speak to the joyful part. Speak to those bits and have a look and bring it through. Yeah, that's all really. Love and blessings, and see you in the next one. Bye.